I beheld till the thrones were cast down, and the Ancient of Days did sit, whose garment was white as snow, and the hair of his head like the pure wool. His throne was like the fiery flame, and his wheels as burning fire. A fiery stream issued and came forth from before him. Thousands ministered unto him, and 10,000 times 10,000 stood before him. The judgment was set, and the books were opened.
Isaiah 11. And there shall come forth a rod out of the stem of Jesse, and a branch shall grow out of his roots. And the Spirit of the Lord shall rest upon him, the Spirit of wisdom and understanding, the Spirit of counsel and might, the Spirit of knowledge and of the fear of the Lord, and shall make him of quick understanding in the fear of the Lord. And he shall not judge after the sight of his eyes, neither reprove after the hearing of his ears. But with righteousness shall he judge the poor, and reprove with equity for the meek of the earth. And he shall smite the earth with the rod of his mouth, and with the breath of his lips shall he slay the wicked. And righteousness shall be the girdle of his loins, and faithfulness the girdle of his reins. The wolf also shall dwell with the lamb, and the leopard shall lie down with the kid, and the calf, and the young lion, and the fatling together, and the little child shall lead them, and the cow and the bear shall feed. Their young ones shall lie down together, and the lion shall eat straw like the ox, and the sucking child shall play on the hole of the asp, and the weaned child shall put his hand on the cockatrice's den. They shall not hurt nor destroy in all my holy mountain, for the earth shall be full of the knowledge of the Lord, as the waters cover the sea.
All right, Shalom. First and foremost, I would like to give all praise and glory unto Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rakakwadash, and double honors unto the apostles and the elders of GMS who rule well, teach well, being great examples to his younger brothers, and peace and blessings and salutation to the hopeful elect out there pushing his word in truth and in sincerity across the four winds in the name of Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai, pushing to get up out of here. Shalom to the hopeful elect, the believers, the listeners, whom have came back to the obedience of the scriptures through faith in Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai. All right, and what I want to get into today is continuing on in the book of 1 Kings chapter 4. All right, and it's going to go into King Solomon. He ordering his kingdom and his fame going abroad throughout the earth. Okay, and we know this is a prelude to the kingdom Yahweh Shai is going to bring to the earth. All right, except it's going to have more glory, because first we're going to be immortals. We're going to be in those glorified bodies. All right, we're going to be perfect. All right, in righteousness, and this is going to be forever. Okay, so this is a very interesting chapter. So when you go to 1 Kings chapter 4, all right, let's get it. We just expound. Okay, so this is 1 Kings chapter 4 verse 1. And it says, so King Solomon was king over all Israel. And these were the princes which he had: Azariah, the son of Zadok, the priest, all right, Elarith, and Aniah, the sons of Shashah, scribes, Jehoshaphat, the son of Ahud, the recorder. So he set up, princes, okay, within his realm, within his rulership, within his domain, okay? And that's going to happen again. Lord will, we're those princesses, all right? Those princes that's going to be under Yahweh Shah, all right, forever in the kingdom, because when you go here to, because prince is just another ruler, all right, just a lesser ruler than the king, okay? But you can have many different princes, okay, within your domain, all right? Now you go here, okay? This is Isaiah 32:1. It says, behold, a king, all right, which is Yahweh Shah, shall reign in righteousness, okay? And it said the glorious future. When you go into the title of the precepts, this chapter, it says, behold, a king shall reign in righteousness, and princes shall rule in judgment, okay? And those are going to be those joint heirs, okay? The 144,000 are going to be rulers, all right? An extension of the throne of Yahweh Shah in the kingdom, okay? Or prince, is another word for ruler, okay? And you read this in the NLT, all right? You go to the NLT. We do read in the ESV, and it says, behold, a king will reign in righteousness, and princes will rule in justice, okay? So the kingdom, the earth is going to be full of all righteousness. All the rulers of the earth will be righteous, okay, under Yahweh Shah. You see, but we're seeing King Solomon, set up his kingdom. Okay, you read this in the NLT. Said, look, a king will promote fairness. Officials will promote justice, man. Right now, we're under a very wicked rulership, man, where it's corrupt from the elite bankers all the way down, all right, to your local politicians. Is extremely corrupt. Okay, but in our kingdom is going to be righteous top to bottom, through and through. Okay, under the reign of Yahweh Shah. All right, there's gonna be order. There's gonna be, brothers gonna have jurisdictions in different provinces. And, it's gonna be checks and balance and righteousness, man. Everything is gonna run, perfectly in their righteousness in the kingdom, man, under Yahweh Shah. So when you go here, because I say when the king establishes dominion, okay, he divides, jurisdiction amongst what his friends, his fellow brethren, his kinsmen, his friends, the ones close to him. All right, and it's even going to say this when you read down in 1 Kings 4:2, and these were the princes which he had: Azariah, son of Zadok the priest, Elah, Horeph, and Aniah, and the son of Shashai, scribes, Jehoshaphat, and the son of Ahilud, the recorder. And Benaniah, the son of Jehoiada, was over the host, all right, over the military. And Zadok and Abiathar were the priests. John the Baptist comes from their lineage, Zadok. Okay, so yeah, Zadok and King Solomon. Then, all right, during the time of Yahushua and John the Baptist. Okay, and it says, and Azariah, the son of Nathan, was over all the officers, and Zabud, the son of Nathan, was principal officer and the king's friend. You see, and the king's friend. And Abaratazar, we're, all right, the king's friend. Okay, what did Yahweh Shah tell the disciples? Okay, but there are stipulations to being the king's friend. Okay, and I don't built on randomness. No, there are stipulations. Okay, this is St. John 15:14. It said, "Ye are my friends." You see that? If you do whatsoever I command you. Okay, so there's an expectation with being a friend of Yahweh Shah. Okay, and we've been given this book is full of instructions, man. Okay, as we were speaking on earlier, matter of fact, let's get it real quick and we'll jump back to St. John. Okay, it's the book of Saint. No, this is the book of 2 Timothy 3. Okay, and Yahushua comes in the volume of the book. So when you go to 2 Timothy 3 and 16, all scripture is given by inspiration of the Most High and is profitable for doctrine, for reproof, for correction, for instruction in righteousness, man. So there's a particular doctrine that Yahushua wants us to teach. Okay, he wants us to reprove, correct according to the scriptures, and the scriptures are full of instructions in righteousness, man. Okay, so we're the king's friend if we do whatever he said, and what he said is in the volume of the book. Okay, and we perform these things to the best of our ability, man. All right. So going back, my put that St. John, finish that in St. John. St. John chapter 15. It's back in the book of St. John chapter 15, verse 14. Ye are my friends if you do whatsoever I command you. Henceforth I call you not servants, for the servant knoweth not what his Lord doeth. See, the friends have way more privileges than someone that's just a servant. The Lord will, we of that number, man. We're going to be friends with the king forever. Okay? Friends of a king is high status and favor. Okay? From the king. That's high status and favor from the realm. Okay? Hey, people had to reverence you in a particular way because you're friends with the king. You see, and this is what we're fighting for, Aki. Every day we wake up, man, we have something, to grind towards, man, and that's being friends with the king, with Yahushua, man. Hey, what's better than that? Okay, so reading again, it says St. John 15 and 15 said, henceforth I call you not servants, for the servant knoweth not what his Lord doeth, but I have called you friends, for all the things that I have heard of my Father I have made known unto you. So all the things that we've heard of the Father, that Yahushua heard of the Father, made known unto us, man, which you tell your friends the secrets, man. You give your friends, favor. Okay, you provide for your friend. That's why the mercy that we're going to receive in the time of Jacob trouble, Lord will, okay, is going to be based on our friendship with Yahweh Bashim Yahushua. Okay, the men that's going to be more valuable than gold are the men that are friends with Yahushua. Okay, that are considered, that Yahushua considers his friends. Okay, and it says, you have not chosen me, but I have chosen you and ordained you that you should go and bring forth fruit, and that your fruit should remain, that whatsoever ye shall ask of the Father in my name, he may give it unto you, man. Okay, so just as King Solomon, he was choosing his men for these particular offices, Yahushua, chose his men, and it was already, ordained from the beginning. The Heavenly Father, all right, gave Yahushua certain spirits, man, that will be his. Okay, beginning with the first fruit. You see? So let's go back to 1 Kings. Heavenly Father called Abraham what? His friend. You see? And he received it, favor, and those blessings, the covenant. All right. So this is back in 1 Kings 4 and 6. It says, and Ahashar was over the household, and Adoniram, the son of Adbah, was over, tribute. And Solomon had 12 officers over all Israel, which provided victuals for the king and his household. Each man his month in a year made provision. So he had 12 officers, man. Okay, what does that sound familiar to? Okay, when you go here, all right. Let's get this in Matthew. This is Matthew chapter 19. All right, verse 27 said, then answered Peter and said unto him, behold, we have forsaken all and followed thee. What shall we have therefore? And Yahushua said unto them, verily I say unto you, that ye which have followed me in the regeneration, when the Son of Man shall sit in the throne of his glory, ye also shall sit upon 12 thrones, judging the 12 tribes of Israel. So you see how King Solomon set up 12 men over all Israel? Okay? Because 12 goes into rulership. When you go to number 12, it goes into rulership. Okay? You know? The house of David is all 12 tribes and rulership, man. The dynasty, the throne of David. That's what that goes into, man. So you see, as Yahweh Shah, he set up, he promised them, look, y'all going to have 12 thrones judging the 12 tribes of Israel, which means they're going to be in these high offices, man. Okay, they're going to be men of high renown, okay, and high authority in the kingdom, amongst Israel. Okay, because we're going to be a nation of rulers. Okay, the nation is going to be in rulership, but amongst it, there's rank, there's order. Okay, so you see, King Solomon, all right, set up his 12, and Yahweh Shah, there's a 12 that's going to be set up under Yahweh Shah in the kingdom, beginning with King David. He's going to be one of those 12, all right, which, we know he was Peter. So you go to Revelation 21, all right, show you the narrative never changes, all right. Revelation 21:12, it says, and had a wall great and high, and had 12 gates, okay, and the gates 12 angels, and the names, all right, written thereon, which are the name of the 12 tribes of the children of Israel. Okay, the 12 tribes of the children of Israel, man. Okay, so under Yahweh Shah in the kingdom, okay, there's still going to be order even amongst, the tribes. Okay, it's still going to be, the kingdom is going to be divided. All Israel is going to be joint heirs with Yahweh Shah. Okay, we're going to get to enjoy, the inheritance that he got from the Father. He's going to divide it amongst, the 12 tribes. Okay, I think it's another one that even I ain't read it in a while. Let me see. Yep. It's in the same verse. Yep. It says, in the wall of the city had 12 foundations, and in them the names of the 12 apostles of the Lamb. All right, those 12 rulers, man. Okay. And they was always around. That's why Yahweh Shah said, you are they which have followed me from the beginning. Okay. You see? So those 12 men are going to be renowned under Yahweh Shah. And then every other member of the 144,000, every brother in their own order, man. Okay? But the kingdom is going to be a well-functioning, all right, business of righteousness, man. Okay? It's not just going to be no random kingdom where it's going to be set up. It's going to be organized, all right? And it's going to be perfect order. Okay? So let's go here. Back to 1 Kings, chapter 4. Okay, this is the book of 1 Kings, chapter 4, and verse 7 again. It says, and Solomon had 12 officers over all Israel, which provided victuals for the king and his household, each man in his month and his year made provision. And these are their names: the son of Hur in Mount Ephraim, okay, the son of Dekar in Makaz, and in Shaalbim and Bethshemesh, and Al Banathan, the son of Heshid in Aruth. To him pertains Saku and the land of Hepher. So you see, that these men are over particular land. See, we're being groomed to rule over territory, man. You see, this is why we gotta think different. We gotta see, we gotta be dead to this world so we can be alive in this. We got something way above anything that this world, all right, could ever offer, man. You see, this is what we're a part of, man. These different men are over different territories, man, different regions under King Solomon, man. Yahweh Shah is coming to do that with the whole earth. You see? Well, Yahweh Shah said, what? One greater than Solomon is here. Okay, he's a greater version of himself as Yahushua than he was as King Solomon. So imagine the glory that we got coming, man. That's why I say we shouldn't be, entangled, with the lust of this world. We got, we're men in the flesh, not gonna be perfect. Okay. Well, there's no way that we should just be overwhelmed with, things of this world, understanding what the Lord is doing with us real time right now, man. This should wake us up in the morning. You see, it says the son of Benadab in all the region of Dor, which had Tophath, the daughter of Solomon, to wife. I'm gonna show you the marriages, and his joint houses, man. And I just can't wait to get back, to just that regal, noble, natural order, man, that we're supposed to be in. Okay, because America has been random as hell for us, man. Okay, you should be completely burnt out on America, man. The randomness and the chaos and the dysfunction of it, man. It says, Banah, the son of Elihu, to him pertain to Knock and Megiddo. That's why you got the valley, yeah, the valley of Megiddo. Reading about in the that's where the war is going to break out, going into Revelation. Okay, Megiddo or Megiddo in Revelations, and it says, and all Bethshin, which is by Zartanah between Zezreel from Bethshin to and Ben Lamala, even unto the place. All right, this is beyond Jochanim, the son of Guber in Ramoth Gilead. To him pertain the towns of Jar, the son of Manasseh, which are in Gilead. To him pertain the region of Agug, all right, which is in Bashan, 80 great cities with walls and brazen bars. And Henadab, the son of Adu, had Mahanim. Amahaz was in Naphtali. He also took, all right, Bashmath, the daughter of Solomon, to wife. And that's major favor from a king, to give you one of their daughters, to wife. He just made you a part of his house, through marriage. You see, it's a major thing. So going on, it says, Banah, the son of Hashah, was in Asher and Alah, so all tribes. Okay, Joseph had the son of Parah in Issachar, Shimei the son of Eli in Benjamin. Okay, Gilbar, the son of Uriah, was in the country of Gilead, in the country of Shushan, king of the Amorites, and old king of Bashan, and he was the only officer which was in the land. So that's why you go here. Let's get this real quick. Revelation 7 and 9. You see, and when you understand, it says we understand the true narrative of the Bible makes complete sense from front to back. Okay? It doesn't change. It's the same narrative. Now, when you go into Revelation 7 and 4, it says, and I heard the number of them which were sealed. They were sealed with, and it says, and there were sealed 144,000 of all the tribes of the children of Israel. Okay? And you go here, what does it say? The tribe of Judah was sealed 12,000. The tribe of Reuben was sealed 12,000. The tribe of Gad was sealed 12,000. The tribe of Asher was sealed 12,000. The tribe of Naphtali, all right, was sealed 12,000. The tribe of Manasseh was sealed 12,000. All right, the tribe of Simeon was sealed 12,000. The tribe of Levi was sealed 12,000. The tribe of Issachar was sealed 12,000. Of the tribe of Zebulun were sealed 12,000. Of the tribe of Joseph was sealed 12,000. Which is Ephraim. All right, is interchangeable. Joseph and Ephraim are interchangeable. Okay, it says of the tribe of Benjamin was sealed 12,000. So that order is coming back under Yahushua. Except it's going to be much bigger because it's a much bigger territory. Now we're going to the format that we're seeing King Solomon set up. Well, that format is going to be expanded throughout the whole earth, man. So dividing, the kingdom amongst, those 12 men, those 12 officers. Okay, now the earth is going to be divided up amongst 144,000 men under Yahushua. 12,000 men from each tribe of Israel. Okay. So now even when you go here, and this I beheld, and lo, a great multitude which no man could number, of all nations and kindreds and people and tongues, stood before the throne and before the Lamb, clothed with the robes and palms in their hands. So when you go here, all right, because Christians use this to try to include all nations. No, it's only going to be one nation in rulership. Okay, the 144,000 make up the governing body, the upper echelon, all right, of the 1/3. Okay, well, the rest of these people, all right, the rest of these people that John is seeing, all right, are Israelites. Okay, that's why you get this word in the Greek.
Strong's G 5443. Foulet. Foulet.
All right, Foulet. Okay, these are Israelites. When you go to here, it says in the New Testament, all persons descended from one of the 12, the number 12, sons of the patriarch Jacob. Okay, so the 1/3 is the rest, all right, of Israel that's going to be delivered. Okay, it singled out those 12,000 men from each tribe, the 144,000. That's the upper echelon. Those men are going to have particular offices under Yahushua, particular rank and authority under Yahushua. Okay, as Yahushua divides the earth amongst what? His brethren. You see? So those the rest of the fam. Okay, those are the rest of the tribes of Israel. Okay, that's going to be under those men. All right, forever, man. You see, and righteousness is going to be established forever. Okay, let's go here real quick. Let me go back to First Kings. This is what is it, Isaiah? Okay, go to Isaiah 53 and Isaiah 53 and 12 said, therefore will I divide him, which is Yahushua, a portion with the great, and he, okay, Yahushua, shall divide the spoil with the strong, you know, because those that overcome the beast, those are considered the strong. Okay, I'm not speaking about physical strength, but strong in spirit, strong in faith, you know, to endure these times. Okay, it says, because he had poured out his soul into death, and he was numbered with the transgressors, and he bare the sin of many and made intercession for the transgressors. So the Lord, all right, Yahushua, all right, is rewarded for completing the mission given to him by the Father. All right, and the Father gave him everything. Okay, and he's going to split that everything amongst, you know, his men. He's going to divide the spoil. Yahushua is coming to spoil the earth. Okay, and he's going to divide their spoil amongst his men. When the scriptures say all, you know, he had many crowns, well, he's come to take all authority from all the heathen in the earth, and he's going to divide that amongst his men. Okay, just as you see, King Solomon, he's establishing that order. All right, so let's go here to back to First Kings chapter 4. This First King chapter 4, back in verse 20. All right, and it says, what? Judah and Israel were many as the sand of the sea, which is by the sea in multitude, eating and drinking and making merry. Okay, so we was in a good case. All right, everybody was straight, you know. So King Solomon, you know, his rule, all right, for the majority part until the latter end, you know, when he began to, you know, go into idolatry, all right, he had a very prosperous rulership. Okay, and all Israel was good, man, eating and drinking and making merry, you know, abundance. Okay, Yahushua, he's bringing it back. So Yahushua is finna revive this on a whole nother level. You know, that's why you read about the rulership of King Solomon. You should be excited about what Yahushua is about to do. one greater than Solomon is coming back. You see? This is going to be our reality on another level, man. Okay? It says, and Solomon reigned over all kingdoms from the river unto the land of the Philistines and unto the border of Egypt. They brought presents and served Solomon all the days of his life. Okay? Yahweh Shah is going to revive this back in the earth, man, where these nations are going to pay tribute to Israel. Okay? When you go in Isaiah, what does it say? It's Isaiah chapter 60. Okay? I'll read into it. Yep. Isaiah 60 and 10, it says, and the sons of strangers shall build thy wall of captivity, and their kings shall minister unto thee. For in my wrath I smote thee, but in my favor have I had mercy on thee. See, we've been smitten by the Lord. You know, that's why we've been, you know, from the Renaissance period until now, you know, we've been catching pure hell. But that's the wrath of the Lord was on us, man. Okay? Well, we come to the end of this wicked kingdom, the Lord's favor is all right, is increasing amongst his people. All right. Right now it's only, you know, for the elect. Okay. So you read on, it said, therefore thy gates shall be open continually, they shall not shut day nor night, that men may bring unto thee the forces of the Gentiles, and that their kings may be brought. So you go into this word, okay, I think it says in other translation, let me see. Yep, it says, this is the NIV, it says, your gates will always stand open, and they will never shut day or night, so that people may bring you wealth. All right, the wealth of the nations, their kings, all right, led in triumphal, all right, procession, man. Okay, so they're going to have to pay reverence and tribute, okay, forever. You see? You see? So they're going to have to check in. It says, your kings, your gates will remain open at all times. They will not be shut in day, all right? They will not be shut during the day or at night, so the wealth of nations may be delivered with their kings leading the way. Okay? So these nations, all right, are going to be forever tributary to us in the kingdom. And this is what Yahweh Shah is going to bring back. And this is not Isaiah. Okay, this is way after the era of Solomon. So this is going to be revived again. This is future prophecy, man. Okay. Let's go here. Matter of fact, I think that's in the book of Tobit. Let's get this in the book of Tobit, I believe. The 13th chapter. Okay, and this is gonna be forever, man. Like we're never gonna, go backwards into captivity. We're never gonna be in bad standards with our power. We're gonna receive the Lord's favor forever, man. All right. That's why I say you got so much to look forward to, man. What we got coming, you can't even mention with something of this world. All right, there's absolutely nothing in this world, man. All right, this is this is Tobit 13, and let me see. That's so crazy. Y'all started at 11. That's where I want to start at. I started at 10. It says, it's Tobit 13 and 10. It says, give praise to the Lord, for he is good, and praise the everlasting King, that his tabernacle may be builded in thee again with joy. And we're that tabernacle that's being built up. And this is a joy to the Lord to see his people being built up in righteousness, man. It says, and let him make joyful. It said, and let him make joyful there in thee those that are captives, which we are captive now, and love in thee forever for those that are miserable, man. Okay, this has been a miserable captivity. Okay, and his misery is going to turn to joy. Yahweh Shai, that's why he's the Prince of Peace, man. You know, he's going to bring peace to Israel, beginning with the elect. Okay, it says, many nations shall come from far to the name of the Lord with gifts in their hands, even gifts to the King of heaven. All generations shall praise thee with great joy. Okay, you see? So this happened during the time of King Solomon, and it's going to happen during the time of Yahweh forever, and it's going to be on another level. Okay, so you go back to the book of Kings. All right, 1 Kings 4. First Kings 4 and 22, and it says, and Solomon's provision for one day, okay, was 30 measures of fine flour and 60 measures of meal. All right, 10 fat oxen and 20 oxen out of the pastures. You know, it's 30, oxen a day. And you look at the price of an ox, just to kind of give you some numbers. I think an ox is like $3,000 a piece. Okay, so you're doing 30. In a day is 90,000. Alone just on oxen. It says in 100 sheep. Okay, besides harts and rowboats and fallow deer and fatted fowl, for he had dominion over all the region of this side of the river. So there was, to feed his courts, to feed his house, his servants, children, wives. Okay, he had plenty. He had plenty of provision, and that's in the kingdom. We're gonna have that abundance, man. As a matter of fact, get that real quick. That's why Yahweh Shai is Yahweh Shai. He can't wait to bring this era back, man. Okay? That's why the day of vengeance burneth in his heart. It's St. John 10 and 10 says, the thief cometh not but for to steal and kill and destroy. I am come that they might have life and that they might have it more abundantly. Okay? They might have it more abundantly, man. All right? The era of King Solomon was the era of abundance. Okay? It says silver was as stones in Israel. Imagine you got a gravel road. Okay? That's how stones were in Israel during the time, all right, of King Solomon, man. Okay? Let's see if it gives us some to his word, abundant. Abundantly.
Strong's G 4053. Perisas. Perisas.
Perisas. All right. So you go into the word abundant. It says what? Exceeding some number or measure or rank or need. Exceeding the need. Okay. Over and above, more than is necessary. Super added. All right. Superior, extraordinary, surpassing, uncommon. Okay. And the wealth that, during the time of King Solomon was uncommon. Remember, the scripture called Job the richest man, all right, in his time. And Job had like 500 oxen. Okay. King Solomon, hey, they was eating 30 oxen a day. Okay. So in a week, what's that? That's 210. So in 2 weeks was that 420. So about 2 weeks and a half, King Solomon was they ate all the oxen that Job had, and Job was considered one of the richest men, all right, of his time. But in 2.5 weeks, King Solomon was eating it. They was eating it. Him and his courts and his family, they was eating it. You see, like Job was using the work, the breed, and but that's what they was eating. And they still had to have oxen to plow the fields, because the ox was a tractor at the time. Okay, so the wealth that King Solomon and them had back in that day, it was uncommon. You see, Oh boy. Is all right. It says preeminent, superiority, advantage, more eminent, more remarkable, more excellent. Okay. That's why when Queen Sheba came, she's just like, God damn, you know? You see? But she should say she thought the doorman, was King Solomon. Man, it's the doorman. Okay. What were these guys doing? Okay, it was uncommon, you know. So going back, all right. This back in First Kings 4 and 24 said, for he had dominion over all the region on this side of the river, from Tishpath even to Azah, over all the kings on this side of the river. He had peace on all sides round about him, and Judah and Israel dwelt safely, every man under his vine and under his fig tree, from Dan even to Beersheba, all the days of Solomon. Okay, and this is what Yahweh Shai is going to bring back. Israel and Judah dwelt safely. Okay, every man on his own fig tree had their own substance, man. Yahweh Shai is going to revive this, man. This is what the apostle was speaking about. They were speaking about First Kings, the 4th chapter, when they say, without now restore the kingdom to Israel. They trying to restore that. Okay, they were talking about restoring that era. Okay, this is Jeremiah 23 and 5. Behold, the days come, said the Lord, that I will raise unto David a righteous branch. Okay, this is way after King Solomon. So it was another king spoken of. Okay, and the king shall reign and prosper and shall execute judgment and justice in the earth. In his days, Judah shall be saved, and Israel shall dwell safely. And this is his name whereby he shall be called, the Lord our righteousness. Okay, so this is what Yahweh Shai is coming to establish again. Okay, forever. All right, and he's going to come with this great deliverance. That's why you read verse 7. Therefore, behold, the days come, said the Lord, that they shall no more say, the Lord liveth, which brought up the children of Israel out of Egypt, but the Lord liveth, which brought up and which led the seed of the house of Israel out of the north country, from all countries whither I had driven them, and they shall dwell in their own land. So Yahweh Shai is bringing us back, okay, to that land. Because when we read First Kings, all right, the 4th chapter, that was all happening in the land of Israel. Okay, so Yahweh Shai is bringing a restoration, okay, back to that era, man. Okay, and so we're going back as immortals, and you get this in Micah, show you, okay, the peaceful latter days. All right, so you get Micah 4:1. But in the last days it shall come to pass that the mountain of the house of the Lord shall be established in the top of the mountains, and it shall be exalted above the hills, and people shall flow unto it. Okay, just as these nations, all right, were flowing to King Solomon in his era. Everybody was flocking to King Solomon, man. Okay, that's why you even got that in the Apocrypha. Okay, as we get, I think it's Sirach 47. Sirach 47 and started like 12. And I'm gonna finish this in Kings, and then we'll finish it in prophecy. So let me finish this in Kings 4th chapter, and then we'll finish that with that account and prophecy of Ratazah. So you go here, it says in First Kings 4 and 25, and Judah and Israel dwelt safely, every man under his vine and under his fig tree, from Dan even to Beersheba, all the days of Solomon. And Solomon had 40,000 stalls of horses and chariots, and 12,000 horsemen. And those officers provided victuals for King Solomon and for all that come and it came unto King Solomon's table. You got to imagine the size of that table. To have that much food, man. Like what, you know. And it said every man, and it was probably multiple, tables, probably big, just big feast room. And no telling how it was laid out, man. But that's crazy. All right. And then the cost of the preparation of it. How much does it cost to prepare all that, man? All right. It says every man in his month, they lacked nothing. You see that? They lacked nothing. Barely. All right. Barley also and straw for the horses and dromedaries brought they into the place. All right. Where the officers were, every man according to his charge. And the Most High gave Solomon wisdom and understanding, exceeding much in the largeness of heart, even as the sand that is in the seashore. And Solomon's wisdom excelled the wisdom of the children of the east country and all the wisdom of Egypt. Put emphasis on Egypt. You got niggas today still this, this hotel. All right, Osiris madness, man. Okay, the Solomon wisdom triumphed all wisdom in the earth. All right, and now as Yahushua, okay, Yahushua was given the spirit without measure, man. Like and this is the wisdom that we're operating in, man. It said, for he was wiser than all men, than Ethan the Ezrahite, than Heman and Kalko and Dadah, the sons of Mahal, and his fame was in all nations round about. And he spake 3,000 proverbs, which we have that today, and the songs, all right, were 1,005, and we have all these writings, man. That's why, when you reading the proverbs, Ecclesiastes just give you the perspective, from King Solomon in his era, man. It was great to be sharp, and there's so much practical wisdom, that we can apply, real time. And it says that he spake of trees from the cedar tree that is in Lebanon, even unto the hyssop that springeth out of the wall. He spake also of beasts and fowl and the creeping things and the fishes. Okay. And there came all people to hear the wisdom of Solomon from all kings of the earth, which had heard of his wisdom. The earth flocked, okay, to King Solomon, man. Okay. And real quick, because we ended with that Michael. But it goes into it. Okay, let's go into it. This is on the book of Sirach. All right, 47 and 12. It says, after him, okay, rose up a wise son, and for his sake he dwelt there Lord, as after King David. Solomon reigned in a peaceable time and was honored, for the Most High made all quiet round about him, that he might build a house in his name and prepare his sanctuary forever. How wise was thou in thy youth, and as a flood filled with understanding. Thy soul covered the whole earth. So the influence of King Solomon covered the whole earth, man. Okay? So that influence is coming back. All right? That's why scripture say those last shall be first. Well, you're going to take the word first, which is protos. It goes into being, first in influence and rank. Okay? So King Solomon's influence covered the earth. Okay? And thou fillest it with dark parables. Thy name went far unto the islands. For thy peace thou wast beloved. The countries marvel at thee for thy songs and proverbs and parables and interpretations. By the name of the Lord power, which is called the Lord power of Israel, Yahweh, thou didst gather gold as tin and didst multiply silver as lead. Man, we was good. Okay, we were beyond straight. And it's just, that's the perk of the kingdom. Okay, there's a whole different. It's just gonna be a whole different experience on the earth when you just in abundance. Okay, when you don't even have to have a thought about resources, they're just gonna be there. Okay, constantly multiplying themselves. We, be fruitful and multiply. All right, so you get this in Micah, showing you that the Lord gonna run that back. All right, the Heavenly Father gonna run that back forever. Okay, this is Micah 4:1, it says, but in the last days it shall come to pass that the mountain of the house of the Lord shall be established on the top of the mountains, and the Lord shall be exalted above the hill, and people shall flow, okay, and people shall flow into it, and many nations shall come and say, come and let us go up to the mountain of the Lord, and to the house of the power of Jacob. There he will teach us his ways, because they was coming to King Solomon to get game on how to run their kingdom, man. Okay, they weren't just coming, I say like Moab, be everywhere, take pictures and shit. No, it was coming to get game, okay, to getting the strategy on how to run the kingdom, what to implement. Okay, King Solomon, they brought their tribute. Okay, you had to get that. To get the audience was King Solomon. You had to have that tribute. Okay, it says, and he will teach us of his ways, and we will walk in his paths. For the law shall go forth to Zion, and the word of the Lord Yahweh Bashem al-Shah from Jerusalem. Okay, so this is what we're seeing. All right, in time of King Solomon, but this is a future prophecy, man. Okay, you see that only lasted a short time. This is going to be forever. Okay, and we're going to have the top influence in the earth. We're going to be the chief. All right, the protos. Okay, and the earth is going to be under the influence of Israelite men. Okay, under Yahushua. All right, verse 4 says, and he shall judge among many people and rebuke strong nations afar off, and they shall beat their swords into plowshares and their spears into pruning hooks. All right, no more war. All right, now it's time to go to work. You see, and our kingdom is going to be a kingdom of work. Craig, they say J-O-B. It's going to be the word of every day for the heathen. Okay, no more wars, and you ain't gonna need no navy. You don't need no special forces. No, you want special forces in this field, in these mines. That's gonna be the special forces. That's gonna be the elite forces. It's gonna be elite workforces. Okay, you don't need no secret service, no intelligence agencies, no none of that in the kingdom. You're gonna go to work. Okay, it's gonna go back to man labor. We taking these nations back to man labor. Okay, woman included. All right, it says, nation shall not lift up a sword against nation, neither shall they learn war anymore, but they shall sit every man. All right, listen to this, but they shall sit every man under his vine and under his fig tree, and none shall make them afraid, for the mouth of the Lord Yahweh Bashem al-Shah of hosts have spoken it, man. Showing you that this is, the King Solomon era revived, all right, with more glory. Because this was a condition of us under King Solomon. Every man was under their own vine, on his own fig tree. They had their own substance. They had their own, resources, man. Everybody was good. Okay, so I think it was one more. Yeah, Coin. Yeah, Rothschild. It ain't even gonna be. We're gonna laugh. We're gonna laugh at what the Rothschild thought is wealth. We're gonna drink wine and laugh. At those devils and what they thought wealth was. Because the earth only gives so much. The earth is not even giving us abundance. All right, we haven't even tapped into, the abundance, that the earth is able to bring forth, man. Okay, so yeah, we're gonna be, all right, joint heirs, man. And we just got that much more to look forward to. So the point, man. There's so much more. You can go on into that, for another few hours. I talk about that, for hours, man. But this point being made, Lord will, you brothers, all right, and you sisters, were edified, once again, and give all praise and glory unto Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahushua, Bahashem, Kakadash. and double honors unto the apostles and the elders of GMS who rule well, teach well, being great examples towards younger brothers. And peace and blessings salutations to the hopeful elect Shalom.